Well, hey gang, I want to do a simple drill with you today with our carbine that's going to help us get on target quicker while accounting for height over bore. Height over bore when we are talking about any gun, be it a pistol, a rifle, etc., is the height from the center of the aiming system to the center of the bore. Why is that important when we're talking about a rifle? In this case, an AR-15 platform. Why is that important? Well, because when I am inside of the zero distance, let's say 100-yard zero, if I have 100-yard zero on this gun, that tells us that 100 yards away from where I'm standing, my line of sight and my bullet are going to coalesce. That's what a zero is. It's the point in space that our line of sight and the bullet meet. Spoken another way, if I was a quarterback and I was throwing you the football as a receiver, the point that I throw and hit that ball into your hands would be the 0 point. The challenge is a quarterback can do that at various distances. The gun is zeroed at one distance. Thus, you and I must understand the hold over or the hold under. When I go beyond 100 yards with this rifle, what's going to happen to my bullet? Well, with this zero, the round begins to drop as I go beyond 100 yards. Food for thought. The highest the bullet goes in its path out to the target, we call the MRT, the mid-rise or mid-range trajectory. In rocketry, we'd call that the apogee. It is the high point of the arc on its way out. What happens if I am inside of my zero? So anywhere from contact distance, there is nobody behind the camera, contact distance out to the 100 yards, what's the bullet doing? Well, that bullet's going to strike below or above my line of sight. Well, why don't we just use my camera lens and we look at it? You can see where my front sight is. And if I walk down to the target and I put my front sight on the target, you can see the barrel. So my round is going to strike below my line of sight. Let's walk down to the target together. And I'm going to show you just some basic target setup here of what we can work on. So, piece of cardboard, I've got 3 black dots out here. These are about 7/8 of an inch, just basic target pasters. And then I've got some Post-it notes. We're going to fall back 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards, and we're going to work drilling this. So to start this exercise, to figure out where our rounds are going to impact, I'm going to put my dot right here. When I say my dot, I'm talking about my sighting system. That could be your sights, it could be crosshair, but for me, I'm going to put my red dot right here. And where would we expect the rounds to hit? In class, folks will say a little below. A little below is not actionable. How far below? Well, it depends on the distance. So, what is my height over bore? For this gun, from the sighting system to the center of the bore, it is 2.59 inches. Yours could be 2.75. Yours could be 3. Yours could be 3 1/4. Yours could be 4. I don't know what yours is. So what you're going to do, point the muzzle in a safe direction, clear the gun out. You're going to measure from the center of the optic to the center of the bore. Not to the center of this opening, but to the center of the chamber. And that takes a little bit of looking around to line the tape measure up. Let's start out here. I think it'll help to just illustrate the exercise versus continuing to talk about it. Does that make sense? And as I'm setting up, if you've got questions thus far, pause the video, toss it in the comments. Let's get some camera anglage worked out. All right, we've got a 5-yard distance set up on the target, using my barrel as a stand-in for me because I've got no camera guy. None of you have volunteered. Let's go through a good loading process. You may notice I shoot the long gun left-handed. It's because I'm blind in my right eye. Now, what might I want to do before I shove this in? Give the gun a good once over, which I already had before coming out here. Make sure everything's in good working order. How about adjust my dot? Good there. seat lock tug, cycle. If I want to press check, I can. Pump the forward assist. Close the dust cover, positive control of the safety. Get your sling set up. Part of our training includes the sling. The sling should aid us in running the gun. Okay, so I'm gonna fire 4 rounds. Good sight picture. I'm gonna put my dot right on the center of that black paster out there. Here we go. Range is hot, eyes and ears. Safety comes off. All right, safety on. Let's head downrange. So aiming at 5 yards, just to the center of this, we are going to be very close to our 2.59. It's actually going to be like 2.4 inches. So if I want to hit this, where do I got to aim? At 5 yards. I've got to aim 2.4 inches over it. Before we do that though, let's fall back and let's shoot this at about 10 yards, and we'll fall back and shoot this at about 15, and we'll just see where or how things change. I'm going to grab a marker to make sure that we don't get confused too. While I'm headed down range, I've got the barrel moved to 10 yards. Just want to chat with you guys a little bit. Starting a program today that we are going to call the Instructor's Corner. And we're going to talk about instructor stuff. So if you're an instructor or you want to be, we're going to be filming some of those first videos today on being an instructor. Something fun. Okay, so 10 yards. Let's see what that looks like. I'll get a little steady and send 5 rounds. Here we go. Range is hot. Feel good. Fired one more because I felt a little herky-jerky on one of those. I just want you to see now as the bullet is climbing. You see that? So now we're closer to 2 inches versus 2.4 inches. So there's our 10-yard group. So the bullet is climbing. Let's fall back to about 15. And I'm going to get steady. I'm going to use the side-by-side here to get good and steady. We're actually at about 17 right here behind the side-by-side. And I'm going to get good and steady. You guys can look at my backside, you perverts. No, don't do that. I'm going to move this. How's that? Is that a decent angle for you? Or would it be better? I think maybe this is even better. How about that? Freaking skaters. Skaters. All right, so we'll do the same thing here. Get good and steady. All right, for our 5, a lot steadier. You know, something I notice on this channel, probably any channel, dudes like to get angry, man. Angry if you don't agree. Gotta get angry. All right, I felt like I was good and centered. I just zeroed this rifle a couple days ago. I'm gonna guess that this was me and not adjustment needed. It looks like I'm slightly to the right. We'll play around some more. Something to think about. As a right-handed pistol shooter, do we tend to miss low and left or to the right? For most right-handed pistol shooters, when they grip the pistol too hard, watch my muzzle, see how it's pushing the muzzle to the left? Well, I'm shooting this gun right now with my left hand as the strong hand. Look what happens. I bet you I wasn't being careful. And watch my muzzle. Remember, nobody's behind the camera. Watch my muzzle. I bet you that I was over tightening. I am going to mark these couple rounds here And we're gonna fall back and shoot that again, just because I wanna ascertain and isolate. I don't wanna train bad things. Let's fire 5 more. I'm looking at a big turkey vulture overhead. Probably thinks that I'm dead meat or something. I wanna fix what I'm doing, and it's happening in real time. So I marked those rounds. I'm gonna get a little bit more steady, and most important, I'm not going to tighten my grip hand because, again, it will steer the muzzle. Let's do it again. Take a look at that. Not exactly what the nature of the vid was, but we're training to be able to fix our stuff. Training to be able to fix our stuff. Well, this is clearly something that I've got to work on today. You can see I did push 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost all now right underneath, which is perfect because I was working on not imparting movement into the gun. Okay, so we can see I took a little bit more time. There's that 5-shot group right there. And we're about 1.5 inches versus 2 versus 2.5. Why is this important? You might say, well, it doesn't matter. Well, if I am trying to hit, for example, this A-zone box, that A-zone box is not big enough for you to just hold anywhere. If I'm trying to hit the center of this, depending on how far back I am, I'm gonna have to adjust my hold. Just like a golfer, just like a quarterback, just like a major league, anything, you need to be able to adapt to the environment based on exposure, right? You've done it enough times that you can estimate yardage, and this is really close. You might say, not a big deal. I'm just training to hit something this big. That's great. Riflemanship is not just blasting away. It's understanding, just like that quarterback, how much you need to input into the ball or angle of the dangle to hit the target. So we've got those posties out there. We're gonna run a drill on those posties. Post-it notes, what, 2 inches, 2.5 inches? I'm going to aim where I think I need to hit them at various yardages. We're gonna start, we'll work from 10 here. 10 seems like a good spot. I'll move you in a little bit. Sure would be great if I had a camera guy out here, but I don't. How about we top this rifle off too? Top off, do a little quick mag swapperoo, seat lock tug. Notice I like to use my back pocket because that's probably my reality. Got the sling in a good position. Where do I got to hold to hit the center of that postie? That's what I'm working on. Ready? Up. Low, ready? Up. Safety comes off as I align on the target. Not down here, up here. Safety. Safety now. Safety is not an afterthought. So all of these drills are not just shooting drills. I'm also getting reps in on manipulating the gun in an efficient manner. Remember, speed doesn't come just through raw movement, but economy and through efficiency. So I'm going to remove waste and I'm going to compound my movement. So as the gun comes up, I align my eye to the target, I drive the dot, safety off, conscious decision not to shoot, safety back on. Let's take a look at that target. I'm not trying to go blazing fast. What I'm trying to do is develop some awareness of where I need to be aiming. Zoom in once. Looks like I threw one high on one of my earlier shots. And that's why we're training, guys. Here, check this out. Oop, perfect. I'm just kidding. I don't want you to not see that. That's why we're out here. If anybody was perfect, you'd have no reason to train. You know, right now, everybody's freaking out watching the Turkish pistol shooter that showed up without all the fancy gear and won, right? Think about this concept. Gear only helps you if you've got a certain baseline of skill. Yes, having a really killer bicycle is going to be better than a shitty bicycle, right? Having really awesome shoes are going to be better than crummy shoes, but you're not going to win an NBA game because you've got Michael Jordan shoes on, right? You still have to have a baseline of skill. Think about this. Skill and training trumps gear and cool techniques, right? Principles matter. The principle is drive the sight to the target. So, synopsis of this exercise: understand your holdovers inside of your zero distance. Of course, understand your come-ups, meaning how far that bullet is going to drop as you move past your 0 point. Put a smaller target up. A 3/4 inch paster works perfect. Get steady and make some shots out on the target so that you can understand exactly where they're going to hit. Height over bore is not the same for every gun. Distance to target is going to always be in flux based on the rules of engagement, right? The match. If you're a police officer out there in the world carrying one of these, or somebody trying to do some protective services, you had better know this type of stuff before you carry a gun like this in public. All right, so we've now pasted up the target. We've got fresh black pasties, and now let's fall back. We'll go 5, 10, etc., and we'll work on hitting those black pasters. Make sense? Here we go. So remember, now you're shooting a 3/4 inch target, a 7/8 of an inch target. Where do you got to hold to hit it? 5 yards, up. Up. So it's immediate feedback. I can see, oh, too low, come up 1/4, come up 1/2. Show you that target in a second. Let's fall back a little bit more to 10. Come right here. Here we go, here we go. 10 yard, shooting at that second black pasty. My come up was about 2 instead of 2.4. Oh, one out to the left, it looks like. I'll show you those in a second. Let's fall back to our 15, and we were more like 1.5 inches, right? Take a look at that. It's hot and steamy out here. Hot and steamy, like our relationship. Hey, don't tell anybody. Get that chair out of my way. Muckety muck of the muck out here on the ground. Gotta clean these glasses off. How many of you guys are working on stuff like this, huh? Trying to get specific. I want to master my gun. And up. A couple of those, I was watching my dot. They felt super crummy. So what'd you see me do? Not slow down, slow down. I got mindful of what I was doing. So let's take a peek. I fired a lot more at the first one, and I was being lazy. I was just throwing my dot up here, and look where my result was. And then I had to pay attention. I had to get my come up. 10 yard, I was a little bit more mindful because of my mistake up here. That was just an outright miss, right? But my come ups here were about 2 inches, right? And then my last one, I don't know what the heck I did there, but you can see down at the bottom here, it's doing pretty good for 15 yards offhand on a 3/4 inch target. Here's the synopsis. Your gun will do it. Lock down behind this son of a buck. Get her done. Get her done. Put the time in, figuring out your 0. Put the time in, figuring out where you need to hold over. Put the time in adjusting your sling and your brightness of your dot and get that consistent cheek weld. All the things that we talk about in our mechanics instruction. Be well. Don't be dickheads. If you got any outdoor AC that you can hook me up with, I would love it. Bye now.
Oh, hey.